One of the biggest stars in television history used to crack jokes about his marriages and his divorces.
But the king of late night, Johnny Carson, never mentioned.
For decades, Johnny Carson ruled the night. His name was synonymous with late-night television, a presence that brought laughter into millions of living rooms across America. Yet, behind the charm and humor, whispers always lingered about the secrets he kept, secrets hidden from cameras, from fans, even from those closest to him. Carson, the king of late night, had always been intensely private, a man who gave everything on stage but revealed almost nothing off it. When Carson passed away on January 23, 2005, the world lost not just an entertainer, but a trusted voice, one that had guided generations through humor, wit, and insight. He died at the age of 79 from complications of emphysema, a quiet battle that had claimed his health over the years. Those who knew him personally described him as frail, yet still carrying that sharp, unmistakable wit that had made millions laugh night after night. The announcement of his death shocked the public, who had grown used to seeing Carson as a constant fixture in American life. Television networks ran tributes, newspapers printed headlines mourning the loss of a cultural icon, and friends and colleagues shared heartfelt memories of a man whose timing, humor, and ability to connect with ordinary people had become legendary. Yet, even amid the grief, there were murmurs. Rumors that his private life held mysteries, secrets locked away, and rooms never entered. Boxes unopened, letters unsent, items that might reveal a side of Carson the public had never seen. Biographer Bill Zay once described Carson as an enigma, a man who gave everything on stage and nothing once the curtain closed. That mystery only fueled the curiosity of fans and journalists alike. What had Carson kept hidden? If his deepest thoughts had been shielded during his life, would his estate now reveal them? Soon after his passing, estate executives began the painstaking task of cataloging his possessions, a monumental effort that would uncover not just memorabilia, but a glimpse into the inner world of one of television's greatest figures. In 1984, Johnny Carson made a decision that would speak volumes about his private nature. He purchased a spectacular estate on the bluffs of Point Dume in Malibu, California, paying $9.5 million, a staggering sum at the time. For Carson, it was more than a home. It was a retreat, a sanctuary far removed from the relentless attention of the public eye. Here, on 4 acres overlooking the Pacific Ocean and Little Dume Beach, Carson could live beyond the stage lights, beyond the applause, and beyond the cameras. The estate was a masterpiece. Designed by architect Ed Niles, it combined glass, wood, and open space in a way that blurred the line between indoors and out. Gardens bloomed in soft colors, koi ponds shimmered, and exotic birds whispered in aviaries tucked among terraces and orchards heavy with fruit. A 7,100-square-foot main house rose at the center of the property, its soaring glass ceilings and arched indoor arboretum giving the feeling of living within a work of art. Inside, Carson's life unfolded across 3 levels. The upper floor was his private sanctuary, with sweeping ocean views, dual offices, and walk-in closets. The main level was designed for comfort and display, an expansive kitchen, terraces, a media room, and a wine cellar. Outdoor amenities included a saltwater pool, spa, tennis court, and a pavilion reportedly gifted by NBC. Parking areas and motor courts could hold dozens of cars, echoing the possibility of secrets waiting behind each door, behind each hood, waiting to be discovered. Despite the openness of the architecture, Carson remained a private man. Few were invited past those glass doors, and those who did noted a sense of mystery that seemed to follow him even in his own home. After his death, estate executives cataloging his possessions discovered not only awards, photographs, and personal items, but also boxes labeled miscellaneous, cabinets locked without keys, and rooms strictly off-limits, even to long-serving staff. Yet it was his garage that drew the most attention, a space that would soon reveal the most intimate and surprising treasures of Carson's life. The garage, at first glance, seemed unremarkable. A space for cars, tools, and storage. But as the doors rumbled open, a beam of light revealed a collection that was nothing short of astonishing. Dust swirled in the air, suspended in golden sunlight, hinting at years of careful concealment. What lay before the estate executives was not merely a garage, it was a private museum, a chronicle of Johnny Carson's life, his passions, and his hidden self. Rows of cars lined the space, each one telling a story. A 1939 Chrysler Royal, worn but glowing with history, marked Carson's roots. It had belonged to his father, the car in which he first learned to drive, a symbol of family and memory rather than luxury. Later, he left it to Jay Leno, as if passing the torch to another late-night legend. Nearby, a stainless steel 1981 DeLorean DMC-12 stood as a futuristic icon. Its gull-wing doors and polished curves captured the imagination, but Carson's relationship with the car went beyond aesthetics. He had invested in the DeLorean company, putting $500,000 into its dream. Stories from the past included him trapped inside the vehicle, a moment that became part of his comedic anecdotes, a metaphor for the doors in his own life, sometimes locked, sometimes refusing to open. Other vehicles included a pristine 1988 Mercedes-Benz 560C, elegant and understated, a choice that reflected his desire for comfort and refinement, and a 1992 Chevrolet Corvette, his final car, symbolizing his last ride and the closing chapter of his love for the open road. A rare 1966 Gear 450 SS hinted at his taste for the exotic, the unusual, the hidden pleasures of life. But it wasn't just the cars that revealed Carson's private world. Boxes stacked against the walls, folders tucked behind tool racks, and cabinets locked without keys hinted at stories and reflections that went far beyond automobiles. One assistant, prying open a folder, discovered a single sealed envelope. The handwriting was unmistakable, Johnny Carson's. Inside were letters, personal notes, reflections, even messages to his children. For decades, Carson had been aloof, even with those he loved most. Now, in this garage, his private thoughts were waiting to be discovered. Carson's private life was complex. He married 4 times, each relationship leaving its mark. His first marriage, to Joan Jody Walcott in 1949, produced 3 sons, Chris, Rick, and Corey. Yet fame, long absences, and personal struggles strained the marriage, leading to divorce after 14 years. His second marriage, to Joanne Copeland, brought glamour and turbulence. Alcohol sometimes transformed Carson from charming host to volatile husband, a duality that Copeland later described in interviews. His third marriage, to Joanna Holland, lasted 13 years, but ended suddenly on the night of their anniversary dinner. His fourth marriage, to Alexis Mars in 1987, endured until his death, providing a calmer, more balanced presence in his later years. Friends noted that Alexis brought a quiet companionship that helped Carson navigate the shadows of his private life. The deepest pain for Carson, however, came from his role as a father. His middle son, Rick, struggled with mental health challenges and tragically died in a car accident at 39. Carson's grief was evident on air, but privately it was amplified by guilt for time lost and moments missed. In the garage, letters surfaced that revealed Carson's regrets, heartfelt words addressed to Rick, expressions of love that had never been fully shared. These fragile envelopes told a story far removed from the polished humor audiences adored. Carson's private struggles were not limited to his family. Alcohol, tension, and personal insecurities created storms behind closed doors. Friends and biographers noted his charm and wit on television, but a darker, more complicated man in private. Joanne Copeland recalled how a single drink could turn Carson angry or cruel, while his first wife described fiery confrontations that left lasting emotional scars. Even the public glimpsed these struggles. In 1982, Carson was arrested for drunk driving near Beverly Hills, a rare scandal for a man usually untouchable in the media. Behind the scenes, however, the consequences of his personal battles went much deeper, affecting marriages, relationships, and his own sense of self. Carson's career was filled with triumphs, but it was also marked by rivalries and betrayals. He had high-profile feuds, notably with Wayne Newton over a failed Las Vegas deal, which led Carson to publicly mock Newton on air. Joan Rivers, once a trusted guest host, launched her own show, triggering a deep sense of betrayal from Carson. Their silence endured until his death, proof of his unforgiving nature when loyalty was broken. These conflicts mirrored his private struggles, the charming entertainer versus the guarded, private man. Carson rarely spoke about politics, past relationships, or personal feelings, once telling Playboy, "I live my life, especially my personal life, strictly for myself." This philosophy reinforced his public mask, a man who offered the world entertainment but kept his soul hidden. Even his children sometimes experienced these walls. Rick's hospitalizations, for example, went largely unvisited, reflecting the emotional distance Carson maintained. Yet these walls, while protective, also hid deep introspection, creativity, and reflection. The garage, with its letters, folders, and artifacts, became a lens through which biographers and fans could glimpse the man behind the laughter. Johnny Carson's story began far from Hollywood. Born in Corning, Iowa, in 1925, he grew up during the Great Depression, a shy boy who discovered magic tricks and humor as an escape. After serving in the Navy during World War II, Carson pursued radio, quickly distinguishing himself with his calm voice and sharp wit. By the 1950s, television emerged as the future of entertainment, and Carson instinctively knew it was his medium. He hosted Who Do You Trust? Before seizing the opportunity that would define his life, taking over The Tonight Show in 1962. For 30 years, Carson became the king of late night, blending timing, humor, and empathy to connect with audiences nationwide. His farewell in 1992 drew over 50 million viewers, a testament to the indelible mark he left on American culture. Awards and recognition followed: 6 Emmys, a Peabody, the Governor's Award from the Television Academy, the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1993, and honors from the Kennedy Center. Yet, his true influence extended beyond accolades. He became the standard by which late-night hosts measured themselves. Jay Leno called him the gold standard. David Letterman considered him the best ever. Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Fallon studied his rhythms, his delivery, his mastery of timing. Carson was a performer and a teacher, even in silence. While the public remembered Carson as polished, disciplined, and ever charming, the garage revealed another layer. Scripts never aired, monologues discarded, notes reflecting on life, fame, and loneliness, all these surfaced among the boxes. Here was a man wrestling with questions he never voiced aloud, confronting fame's cost and the solitude behind applause. Some biographers argue that Carson's public persona was the ultimate performance, others suggest the garage writings proved a vulnerability unseen on camera. Either way, these documents illuminated a deeply self-aware individual, someone acutely conscious of the joys, regrets, and ambiguities of life. They painted a portrait of a man who, for decades, balanced public laughter with private contemplation, an artist whose medium extended beyond comedy to the very shaping of his life narrative. Johnny Carson's life was a blend of laughter, secrecy, love, loss, and discipline. Behind the television screen, he navigated private challenges, feuds, and family struggles. The garage discoveries added depth to his story, proving that even the most polished public figures have hidden dimensions. His influence remains unmatched. Comedians and hosts continue to measure themselves against his craft, drawing inspiration from the timing, wit, and humanity that made Carson iconic. Yet, the garage reminds us that legacy is complex, a mixture of triumphs, mistakes, and private revelations. In the end, Carson's story is a testament to the duality of public life, a man beloved by millions yet deeply private, whose laughter filled homes while his thoughts remained carefully guarded. The world adored Johnny Carson, but only through spaces like his garage do we glimpse the layers beneath the laughter, the man who wrestled with life's mysteries, leaving behind a legacy that is as human as it is legendary. Johnny Carson was a master of timing, a magician of words whose humor appeared effortless. But behind the laugh lines and monologues lay a man who studied human behavior meticulously. Every pause, every glance, every deadpan joke was calculated, honed through years of observation and experience. Those who worked with him on The Tonight Show knew that Carson's comedic genius was not simply talent, it was discipline. Colleagues recall his meticulous preparation. While the audience saw a relaxed, witty host, backstage Carson rehearsed jokes, memorized guest quirks, and envisioned every possible outcome of an interview. His humor was often self-deprecating, a tool that allowed him to disarm guests while maintaining control of the conversation. Yet, few ever saw the quieter side of his humor, the notes he left for himself, the scribbled ideas in folders tucked away in his garage, the reflections on why a joke worked, or didn't. Even as fame surrounded him, Carson remained humble and private. He once told an assistant, "Comedy is not about me, it's about connecting, even for a moment, with someone else." That philosophy extended beyond the stage. The garage, filled with scripts, letters, and personal items, revealed that his humor was intertwined with thoughtfulness and introspection, a man whose laughter masked a deep awareness of life's fleeting moments. Though intensely private, Carson maintained a circle of close friends and mentors who shaped both his life and career. From Ed McMahon, his longtime sidekick, to writers and producers who worked behind the scenes, these relationships were integral to the success of The Tonight Show. McMahon, in interviews, often described Carson as a man of contrasts, brilliant yet reserved, charming yet enigmatic, generous yet fiercely protective of his privacy. Mentors from his early radio days and peers from television taught him the art of timing and the importance of trust in collaborators. Carson valued loyalty above all else, those who breached it rarely found their way back. His relationships with friends mirrored the duality of his public and private life, a mix of warmth and distance, connection and caution. Even within Hollywood's competitive world, Carson navigated friendships with care. Some, like Joan Rivers, eventually became sources of tension due to professional rivalry, while others remained steadfast allies. In private correspondence found in the garage, letters to close friends revealed an affectionate, witty, and sometimes vulnerable side, a man capable of deep connection, yet always cautious of revealing too much. Johnny Carson's life offers lessons about fame, privacy, and resilience. For 30 years, he entertained millions, yet never allowed that fame to define him entirely. His garage, letters, and personal archives reveal a man who understood the fragility of success and the cost of public attention. Despite his achievements, Carson remained aware of life's impermanence. His reflections on aging, loneliness, and love were preserved in folders that only emerged after his death. These writings show a man contemplating the true meaning of success, not accolades, ratings, or wealth, but human connection, creativity, and personal fulfillment. He also taught a generation of comedians that mastery of craft requires balance. Public laughter cannot mask private struggles indefinitely. Carson's legacy is a reminder that even those who appear flawless have complexities hidden behind the curtain. The discoveries in Carson's garage extend beyond cars and letters, they serve as a metaphorical time capsule. Each item tells a story, capturing moments, memories, and choices frozen in time. From the 1939 Chrysler Royal representing his family roots to the futuristic DeLorean symbolizing ambition and vision, the collection mirrors his life's journey. Even mundane items, folders, scraps of paper, photographs tucked into boxes, provide insight into his daily existence. In these remnants, biographers and fans can trace Carson's evolution from a shy Iowa boy to the king of late-night television, understanding the sacrifices, regrets, and joys that accompanied his rise. The garage also reminds us of Carson's desire for control. Behind the vehicles and letters lies a man carefully curating his narrative, even in private. He dictated what was seen, what was remembered, and what was hidden, an ultimate reflection of a life lived both in the spotlight and in shadow. Johnny Carson's influence continues to resonate through generations of comedians and late-night hosts. Jay Leno, David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, and Jimmy Fallon all credit Carson as a mentor, even from afar, studying his timing, phrasing, and ability to command attention with minimal effort. Leno once remarked, "Everything we do in late night today is measured against Johnny Carson. He set the bar so high, it's almost impossible to surpass." Letterman echoed this sentiment, emphasizing Carson's unique ability to blend humor with humanity, to make the audience feel seen and heard. Carson's influence extends beyond television, inspiring writers, performers, and even ordinary viewers to appreciate the art of storytelling, timing, and subtlety. The hidden writings found in his garage offer new insights for these observers, showing that even the greatest performers wrestle with doubt, solitude, and the search for meaning. As the estate executives continued their work, the garage's revelations became the final chapter in the story of Johnny Carson's private life. Scripts, letters, photographs, and cars were cataloged and preserved, each item adding depth to the narrative of a man who had shaped American culture for decades. These discoveries remind us that celebrity often conceals as much as it reveals. Carson's public persona, the witty, charming host, was only one layer of a complex, multifaceted individual. Behind the laughter were regrets, private joys, and personal reflections that few had ever glimpsed. The garage, the letters, and the artifacts serve as a testament to the fullness of Carson's life, a blend of brilliance, imperfection, and humanity. They challenge us to see beyond public images, to appreciate the hidden dimensions of those we admire, and to recognize the quiet courage it takes to navigate life both on stage and behind the curtain. While the public knew Johnny Carson as the smiling face of late-night television, the deeper secrets of his life lay carefully concealed, most notably in places few would ever imagine. The garage was just the beginning. As estate executives explored the house, they discovered other hidden corners, locked cabinets, and folders tucked away behind ordinary objects. Each contained fragments of Carson's inner world, musings on life, reflections on fame, and sometimes, cryptic notes that hinted at personal regrets he had never voiced. These discoveries painted a portrait of a man constantly navigating dualities. On one side was the entertainer adored by millions, the master of timing, wit, and charm. On the other was a private man, deeply self-aware, wrestling with his own doubts and the consequences of the choices he had made. Friends and biographers often described him as enigmatic, but the tangible evidence, the letters, the scripts, and the hidden artifacts, offered proof that his private self was far richer and more complex than anyone had imagined. Some of these writings revealed insights into his philosophies, his thoughts on comedy, and the delicate balance between humor and heartache. In one handwritten note, Carson reflected on the loneliness of success, how applause could mask isolation, and how personal relationships often bore the brunt of a life lived largely in the public eye. In another, he penned his own observations about aging, mortality, and the fleeting nature of happiness. These glimpses into Carson's mind added layers to a man already legendary, showing that beyond the laughter, he was constantly questioning, constantly searching. Even now, decades after his passing, these hidden artifacts continue to fascinate historians, journalists, and fans alike. They remind us that the life of a celebrity, no matter how bright its public shine, often contains shadows unseen by the world. Carson's garage, his locked rooms, and the letters tucked away like treasures were more than memorabilia, they were a map to understanding the full complexity of the king of late night, a man whose story is as human as it is extraordinary.